Introducing from Santa Cruz, California, PayStand.
It was intense, wasn't it? Yeah. So good morning, guys. My name is Jeremy Allman. My company is PayStand. And as you might have noticed, let's wake the crowd up a little bit. What was that movie from? Anybody know? It's hard to see back there. It's from the movie Inception. And in the spirit of that movie, I want you guys to think about one key idea for the rest of the day. It's a subtle idea, but it's extremely powerful. That idea is this: that the foundation of our economy, the way we move money, that foundation was not built for today's globally connected, digitally based internet age. Over the course of the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you about why that's so important and how my company, PayStand, a new type of online payment gateway, is eliminating transaction fees from the system, creating a fairer, better, more efficient, transparent financial system. Now, for those of you guys who don't know the financial institutions that much, let me just tell you that the payment industry is massive. One of the reasons why it's so large, from everything from PayPal to the banks to Braintree to startups like Stripe, is in the US alone, we're spending $4 trillion online, okay? To give you a sense for that, that's the size of many GDPs for small countries. Now, what's interesting about that is of the $4 trillion, nearly all of it is going through legacy banking systems. Why is that important? Those legacy systems, the credit card networks and the banking system, they were built basically in the 50s. Now, let me remind you that the 50s was about a few decades before the internet was created. So it's probably pretty inefficient, you might imagine. It's actually not very fair, and maybe most importantly, for businesses, it's extremely costly. How costly? Well, if you've ever ran a business, you know that to move money to get paid through your credit cards or to get paid online, it costs you roughly 3%. Now, 3% is actually about the floor. If you're in a poorer country, it can be closer to 5% or 10%. That's extremely significant to the business. It's probably one of the most expensive costs for the business as a whole. That equates to loss of jobs. It equates to lack of ability to create better products. It's literally 20% of most retailers' profits. And the sad thing is, now in the digital age, they're losing all of that money to do what amounts to moving bits over the internet. To move money from point A to point B, what's really happening in the financial institutions is a database change. Yet they're charging 3%. Now, that 3%, I think there's a better system for that. I think that businesses shouldn't be taxed for their success. I think as they grow, they shouldn't have to be paying millions and millions of dollars. Turns out that there is a better system. The same creative forces that built the internet, the same creative forces that disrupted how we communicate and created an open protocol that allows us to be able to send emails for free, to build social networks, and to make the world a smaller place. Those forces are now at work at money. Digital currency is very much in its early days, but digital currency is the same type of technology breakthrough. It's probably one of the most disruptive things that's happened in the last few decades. The reason why is because for the first time, we have a technology platform that can move money globally, instantly, without middlemen, for free. That has never existed before. Now, it's a little bit like the Wild West of 1995 of the way the internet works. So you're hearing about Bitcoin and things like that on the news, and it's really, really the very beginning of a technology breakthrough on how money happens. Now, what I want to do is just kind of remind you, how can the financial institutions get connected into this world? And how can the mainstream start using it so we can save businesses money, we can start remitting money at a lower cost? And we can work with Visa and MasterCard to basically build a more efficient system for them. Enter my company, PayStand. What PayStand does is we are the first online payment gateway that enables any kind of business to receive money on their website, their application, or through their mobile phones through multiple payment networks. So we can do the traditional suspects like Visa and MasterCard and American Express, but we're the first company to enable more exotic things that are things like digital currency, Check 21. And what that does is that can lower and in many cases eliminate transaction fees from the system. Now, you might think that sounds really complicated, but with our system that's got many patents on it, any business can get set up in under 5 minutes. They can put it on their website, they can use a mobile phone reader, they can start taking credit cards and things like digital currency immediately. This is important because with our system, they can eliminate the transaction costs. They can literally, for a normal business, save millions of dollars every year. That's pretty exciting for a business. Now, what I want you to think about is broadly what we're doing. If you look at kind of the way the internet grew, there's a company called Cisco. Cisco was one of the early pioneers in technology infrastructure. And what we're doing is basically building Cisco for money. We're betting broadly that the money infrastructure is going through a change. And we're the first company to support both the traditional systems as well as the next-gen systems. So we can create a bridgeway for the financial institutions to move to a lower-cost method that's actually fair. Now, I'm talking a lot about creating a fair financial system, but many of the red-blooded capitalists in the room would wonder, how are we going to actually make money? So the most exciting thing about our business is probably our business model. We are the industry's first fixed-cost business model. We call it payments as a service. A business pays a single fixed-cost monthly fee using our system. So it's software as a service. We call it payments as a service. That's important because it means that they're no longer taxed for their success. As the business grows, they're not giving more money to the financial institutions. Instead, what's happening is they are paying a single fixed cost to their bottom line, which is just like accounting software, CRM software. In fact, it's just like you and I as consumers pay with things like Netflix or Spotify. As music and the entertainment industry became digital, it lowered the cost and created a new kind of business model. We're doing the same thing for the first time in payments. This is not just a pie-in-the-sky idea that's some TED Talk about something 20 years from now. My business launched 3 months ago to massive amounts of fanfare. We've been written up and we're on the cover of TechCrunch and the Wall Street Journal and CNN. We have some of the best investors in the world that have invested us from Silicon Valley. And maybe most importantly, we have customers from all over the world using us. Thousands of customers have signed up that have ripped out things like PayPal and the banking system to create a better, easier financial system for them to receive money. Now, we've been able to succeed at that level because our team has an extremely strong background from 2 important industries. The technology industry, things like Google, Debt Market, VMware, Vico. These are all multi-billion-dollar technology companies that my team have been executives at, as well as the financial side, Morgan Stanley, market writers. So we understand both the problems in the financial industry, the customer pain points, and how technology and innovation can create a better system. So let me remind you what I said at the beginning, that trillions of dollars now, 27 trillion in fact globally, are now moving digitally over an existing banking system that was not built for the internet age. With PayStand, we can create a fair financial system that creates more money back into the system for businesses that are the heartblood of our economy. We can create better jobs, and we can create businesses that are more efficient, that create more innovation, like the companies that are here. Using my company, PayStand, we can create a better system. My name's Jeremy Almond. Sign up at paystand.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a good presentation. Help me understand, you're giving the spectrum of options for processing a payment, which would include credit cards, and you're selling at a fixed fee. How are you then avoiding the credit card processing fees and enabling yourself to process credit cards with no cost?
Yeah, so we have essentially a patent on something called payment processing flexibility. We do what basically happens in the real world. In the real world, you have a blend of cash, check, and credit as a business. In that real world, oftentimes small businesses as well as large companies like gas stations will charge different prices for them. So picture a gas station. $2.99 you might go into the gas station cash price. In California, maybe it's more like $4.99. And if you pay with your credit card, it might be $3.05. Not because the gas station or your favorite coffee shop is making money on that extra 25 cents, but that's actually the wholesale cost for credit. We do the same thing. So because we have the first option for actual internet level cash with no transaction fees, we can process the cost differently. So merchants always get 100% of the money, and the mechanics here is give the consumers choice and let them choose based on the economics of the system. If it's use something like cash, that's important because if you're doing a large ticket item that might be a $5,000 donation or paying a bill, there's no way you want to use your card for that. The merchants don't want you to pay with your card, and the consumers don't want to pay with that card. So what we do is expose the actual wholesale cost. Our promise is we will never be a middleman and make extra money on it. Instead, our goal is to lower the cost, make it transparent how much both the Visa and MasterCard players are charging, the banking players are charging, and then ultimately what the new innovative ways that can actually remove the costs are.
So short answer, the consumer's paying it.
The consumer can pay it. The merchants actually can absorb it as well. And in the merchant's case, because we pull out all of the middlemen and the margins, the merchant will actually save money too.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy, for your presentation.
Sure.
You talk a lot about the product, about the platform. Can you tell me and talk to us a little bit about the sales cycle, how you're onboarding, how you're getting adoption of your product? Looks like you have some fast traction, but obviously going from 2,000 to $1 million is a big jump.
Yeah, so a couple things. Hey, we're growing 30% month-over-month growth, right? So it shows that our team already kind of knows how to build this. My team's background is in marketing software, is one of the companies I ran before this. Now, on small business side, it's actually, one of the important things is high velocity self-service systems. We actually have positive unit economics here. So very, very simple napkin math here is that it costs a customer for us about $300 to acquire. That customer, just for the annual contract, is worth about $1,200 over the course of the year. So if you think about that, our payback period is actually in kind of the 3 to 4 month zone. For a SaaS business, that's some of the best business model you could pretty much ever do. So that's, if you trend that to Salesforce or any of the other SaaS companies, we're about half of the payback period. So we're pretty confident with the unit economics of how that works. Did that answer that question? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I just was a little more interested in actual the physical sales side of it, of actually how you are getting that acquisition.
Oh, I'm sorry. So that's through paid ads. So we actually, so it's online SEM, and that scales pretty dramatically. The reason why we can do that is normally that cost is very expensive from transaction side, but because we know what the costs are for SaaS, we can pay for ads in Google and Facebook and all of these places. That's a massive market because essentially every business needs it, and it scales pretty infinitely. So the sales force is pretty low. We have an inside sales team that actually closes deals that fall off the funnel, but we actually have about 35% of our merchants sign up directly without even touching anybody until they talk to customer success. So it's a very, very low cost friction sales cycle.
Are you seeing a lot on the back end on the service side? Is there much touch points with your 2,000 plus customers in terms of that customer service level? Or is it pretty hands-off?
Yeah, so what ends up happening, what we found is the key to success is the first integration, right? So a customer success person calls and talks to every one of our customers. We think that's just important in building the right kind of technology business for small businesses and medium-sized businesses. They can actually, a medium-sized business can set this up in 5 to 10 minutes. We find that about 20% of our customers actually want us to do it for them, which we're happy to do. Once they're set up, it's basically, it's payments. You don't have to do anything after that. So, and then we obviously check in with them. It's really important for us. So, you'll see if you go to our website, there's a giant phone number right on the front. So it's very clearly differentiated from PayPal and those other guys. And we can build a customer success team that is very easily can service those customers. So.
Thank you.
And who, of those customers, who are you seeing traction with? Is it, my neighborhood coffee shop? I would think it'd be kind of high volume transaction folks.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's really three core customer profiles that really resonate here. Ultimately, we think this is applicable to everyone, but what we're focused on first is, like you mentioned, high volume, low margin businesses, so those retailers, right? So high volume, low margin businesses, that 3% is like 20% of their profit margin, so, you know, us putting that money back in their pockets is massive, right? So that's sort of segment one. Segment two is large manufacturers and billers. So this is cases where they want their distributors to pay out to them, and you know the distributor could be paying them anywhere from low end $5,000 or $10,000 to hundreds of thousands of dollars or $1 million, right? And you can't use the card networks there, right? Because 3% on a $100,000 payment is absolutely absorbed. So those guys, literally, the way they work still is they get paid in cash and check, which for the CIO, that's ridiculous. So we give them the first option to actually get paid in those large ticket items in a way that actually, from an economic standpoint, makes sense. And then the third model is nonprofits. So nonprofits, you know, fundamentally, it really just resonates with where they're at, where it's, you know, if I'm donating $50 a month to help some kid in Africa, I don't want $47 to go to the the nonprofit. I actually want $50 to go to the nonprofit. So, and then because it's recurring payment, it makes a lot of sense to use cash. I have the money, I'm not putting it on my credit card, right? So those three segments, it really resonates well with them, and we know that all three of those segments are massive markets.
Kind of a more basic question. How much money have you raised and where are you spending?
Yeah, great questions. So we've raised publicly, we've announced we've raised $1.2 million from amazing Silicon Valley investors, including Servant Ventures, Sarah Ventures, angel investors from Excel, Google, all kinds of, we're really blessed to have that kind of backing. Where are we spending the money? Really in one key area on the product side, which is about distributing the product to our customers' existing systems. So payments really needs to connect to their existing systems, their e-commerce systems, their CRM systems, their accounting systems. As we connect those things, we end up actually getting distribution, right? So if you exist in the e-commerce software that the companies are using, if you exist with the accounting software that the company is using, if you exist within the invoicing system, it both makes it easier for the merchant and also gives us an actual place to be able to drive more distribution and sales. So that's one side, and then the obvious other side is we're building out our inside sales force. So.
Are all of your members right now located in the United States?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you have a plan to grow?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant my team. So
no, all your members, like your customers that are using the system right now.
Yeah, great question. So all of our merchants are based in the U.S. And the reason why is because there is a money transmitter laws to be able to move merchants' money over to a merchant overseas. Now, what's important is all of our merchants can use our system globally. So they can get paid from their customers globally. They can do that really in two key ways, Visa and MasterCard, so we've got deals with them for global card acceptance. More importantly, though, with things like digital currency, they actually can get paid with their customers in underbanked areas, places like Latin America and Africa, where, quite honestly, the banking infrastructure is not there, so it's really, really difficult for them to get paid. So we actually enable global payments in a better way for our merchants. If you look at kind of our number one request, we right now probably have roughly, I think last time I looked, last week we had 130 requests, so we're 400 to 500 requests a month right now for new merchants to be overseas. So we know that's a massive market. Like I said, 4 trillion is moving digitally in the US, 27 globally, so long-term plan is absolutely to be in every country. We just want to do this in a way that we're working with the existing financial institutions to make sure it's well regulated and we're creating good actors and not bad actors in the system.
So help me understand the intellectual property you talked about a little bit more specifically. What is it exactly that you think you have that's protectable?
Yeah, so we filed patents in a couple key areas. Most importantly, it is the ability to do what we call lowest cost routing in different payment mechanisms. So what our goal is as people start to use the system at volume, we want to route money at the lowest cost possible. That's important because right now what ends up happening is the financial institutions sort of maximize revenue, right? And what we're doing is trying to minimize it, right? So if we say, look, it's going to be lower cost to move over the digital currency line or the banking network than the card networks, we'd rather do that.
But does that mean that you're forcing the consumer then to take a certain payment path that they may not want to? What if I want to pay by credit card? I mean, that's not the lowest cost, but you're going to force me to go a different way?
No. So what we'll do, so a really simple example of that right now is credit versus debit, right? So if I use my card, that's my debit card, that debit card technically is money in the bank. You don't need to extend credit for it, right? Now, if I use that, it should be lower cost, right? So I'm going to go through the bank for it to do it. It'll be lower cost.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Don't quit till a job gets